What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the Butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. Now, just a huge thank you for being here, for taking the time out of your days to be here and get involved with the channel. It really does mean the world to me, so thank you so much for doing so. And today, we're just going to crack straight on with the stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Cherrymus. Am I the arsehole for not stopping my dad from filing a police report against a random man who talked to me today because we found out he's part of a cult? I, 16 female, was walking home from school today, looking at my phone when suddenly a man next to me said, "Excuse me, are you from this town?" I stopped and said, "Yes, I live close by. Do you need help?" I thought he was going to ask about directions because he looked completely normal, except he was bald. Not saying that bald isn't normal, but it's relevant. No, what's your job? I thought it was a weird question, but I told him that I was in 11th grade and didn't have a job. After I told him that, he said he was a monk, and then he started rambling about meditation, how good it was for your body and soul, and he also quoted some verses from what I suppose is some sort of Bible. He went on for about 5 minutes, and then he gave me 3 books about his religion. He also told me I should think about looking into the religion. I thanked him and tried to walk away, but then he said, "Before you leave, people usually contribute." He obviously meant money, but I told him, "I'm sorry, I don't have any on me. All I have is my phone," which was true. Then he asked me if I had any apps on my phone where I could transfer him money. I was just like, what the fuck? I gotta find an excuse and get the fuck out of here. "I'm sorry, my parents don't allow me to have apps like that." Then he said, "Not even $5. And I just said I didn't have any and that I was sorry. He told me I could keep one of the books, so I gave him the other 2 and left ASAP. By the way, he wasn't inappropriate with me, other than touching my arm/hand, but I was still really fucking creeped out. He seemed off. When I came home, I told my dad and sister, 14 female, the story. After I finished talking, she said she had met the exact same man 3 days ago. Dad and me didn't know about this, and the conversation she had with him was identical to mine. My dad asked to see the book, and when he saw it, he was furious. I was just like, okay, what the fuck, it's not that serious. He was just a crazy dude who liked meditating, but nope, my dad looked up the name of his religion, and a lot of bad stuff came up about them. Here comes where I might be the arsehole. My dad said he was going to call the police. I didn't stop him. After talking to them, my dad told me that they were on their way to the guy. I told my friends the story, and some of them think I'm the arsehole for allowing my dad to call the police, because even though he's part of a cult and tried to manipulate my sister and I, he didn't do anything that was straight up wrong or illegal. I feel kinda guilty now. Am I the arsehole? Edit, I'm not from the US. Hell no, you're not the arsehole and your dad's not the arsehole in any way for reporting this man. There's no way a full-grown adult should be stopping teenagers on the street, touching their arms and their hands and handing them books and talking to them in that way. Cult or not, I think that's inappropriate in itself anyway. And then asking you for money too. I may even go as far to say this is grooming, because they're manipulating a young person for what they want, you know, so to get them into this cult or whatever they're doing right now. So yeah, absolutely. What's the harm? If he's doing nothing wrong, police ain't going to do nothing about it. But if he is doing something wrong and there's a bit more shady stuff going on, he's going to get pulled up for it. So I can't say you're the arsehole, and that was totally the right thing to do in my opinion. But let's have a look at some of the comments to see what they say. Unisakura says, "Not the arsehole. Cults target young children on purpose and try to lure them in. It is important that your neighborhood is being informed about this. I don't know if it's illegal to try and advertise a cult to a child," which he knew. He did know your age, but it is at the least morally wrong and very dangerous. Parents in the neighborhood should be informed about what is happening so they can speak to their kids about cults if they haven't done so already. Clack Clack Chan says, "Your dad is not the arsehole. This guy is pressuring kids and teens for money. Next time you feel something is off, it's okay to cut the conversation with a short "K thanks bye" and skedaddle, even if they aren't done talking." The old Petrillo says, "Not the arsehole. His actions were not strictly illegal, but look at it this way. You are 16, your sister is 14. What business does a grown man have trying to convince teenage girls to join his religion?" Sure, he said look into, but these people want to do a whole lot more than just go on Wikipedia and are a pest to get rid of. Once they think you may have an ounce of interest and are asking for money as well, that is seriously fishy. This man did not have your best interest at heart, and his actions are not innocent. If you see him again, you do not have to be polite about it. Get out of there, do it quickly, and phone your dad right that very minute. Same goes for your sister. Getting young girls interested in the cult is far easier than doing so with adults, because teenagers do not have their belief system set in stone just yet and are easier to isolate. It is called grooming. Your dad is absolutely right to talk to the police. If the man is truly innocent, the police will have nothing on him, and he will be on his merry way in no time. Better safe than sorry. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? I do like a story about a cult. I'm not bashing religion in any way, but I'm always fascinated in what goes on in these things. But what do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 1. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for yelling at my husband to stop using my cancer as an excuse for everything? I, 26 female, got recently diagnosed with a blood cancer, Hodgkin lymphoma. I started experiencing vague symptoms like tiredness, itchy hands and feet, sweating. After a few visits to my local hospital, I was referred to an oncologist and was diagnosed with stage 2B after a week of scans. It was a lot, and I was trying to keep my focus on my social life and work while starting my chemotherapy. I received chemo on an outpatient unit alongside oral chemotherapy, drugs and steroids. Despite dealing with the side effects, I was focusing on getting through this, but my husband, 32 male, started acting strange. When I first got diagnosed, he started calling every member of the family and had them visit me, whether at hospital or home, with unnecessary gifts that were mostly stuff I can't use. He talked about it on social media. Turned out he got money from people saying he needed it for my medication, even though medication was available for free. The money went into his pocket clearly. A few relatives sent me stuff like a tablet, but he said he gave it to his younger sister. I had people coming into my house that I'd never seen before. He gave his sister also the self-care products his relatives sent him. All I got was blankets only. Whenever we were out or at the store, he'd cut in line and tell people I have cancer and they should let him go first. He'd park near the hospital entrance and yell at someone that I have cancer, therefore they should give him space, and many more incidents. I told him to stop using my condition as an excuse to treat people poorly, but he didn't listen. Tuesday, he took me to the restaurant and had me order our meal. In exactly 5 minutes, he walked over to the lady who was putting meals on someone else's table. He angrily told her that his wife, me, has cancer and shouldn't wait this long to eat. Talked about my medication and how long we've been sitting there and waiting. He caused a mess and I got petty stares and wish I could just vanish. I yelled at him in the car for making a scene at the restaurant and how his behaviour upsets me and stresses me out. He lashed out he was doing this and making a joke out of himself for me, and talked about how he's been affected by my illness as well. I told him that I won't be going anywhere with him if he keeps doing this. We got home and started calling his mum, wanting her to take money from his siblings because my medications were running out. I went into my room feeling horrible and so mad at him for all this. He's making it worse for me and he says he's just helping. Oh my word. I'm actually shocked by that one. Asking for money from people and then put it in his back pocket, getting tablets and giving it to other people in his family. That's atrocious behaviour. I wouldn't be able to be with someone like that. That's absolutely awful. And like OP said, I would just want to vanish in that situation if my potential other half got up in the middle of a restaurant and started saying, that person over there has cancer and needs their food immediately. I'd feel absolutely disgusted. I wouldn't be able to sit in that restaurant. No way, that's awful. It's not the arsehole in the situation, but let's have a look at what some of the comments says. The Aardvark of Law says, not the arsehole. In fact, maybe you should yell at him a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more should be good. There's a whole lot to unpack here, OP, an overwhelming amount. While I do wish good health and healing to you for that miserable diagnosis, I can only gape at your husband's actions with the biggest what the fuck I have ever felt. He's mooching on your behalf and giving it all away immediately upon receipt. What? What? Does your husband want to be some kind of demented off-season Santa Claus? Double Stitch says your husband is a scam artist. Eventually people are going to catch up with him in this, and if you don't speak out now that you know, they'll assume you are in on the fraud. I'm so sorry you have to deal with a massive jerk on top of cancer. Best wishes, speedy recovery, not the arsehole. Cake as a Die says not the arsehole. I'd potentially move out temporarily for a couple of weeks and inform everyone that you do not want or need the items your husband is asking for. Inform your husband you're going to do this before you do, so to give him time to backtrack. He's not listening to you and he's not acting as actual support. He's treating you like a golden ticket when you don't want to be used that way. Pom Dis Sang says not the arsehole. Honestly, pack your stuff and move out. Friends, family, doesn't matter, just get away from him. You also need to let everyone know that your husband has been lying to them. Something along the lines of, well, I do have cancer, I don't know what husband has been telling everyone. We're not financially strapped and I'm not at death's door. Trust me, he's probably told a few folks you're going to pass soon. I cannot in good conscience be party to his lies, manipulations and fraud. Go from there. But seriously, you need to get away from your husband. He might need help, or this might be just who he really is as a person. Either way, it's for him to deal with and for you to leave behind. Now, what do you guys think of this story? How would you deal with that? That is absolutely shocking. Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 2. And our next story comes from Slain Tex. Am I the arsehole for expecting more from my girlfriend's son? So I'm in a nice relationship with a woman. We're from diverse upbringings but share mutual respect, which makes things flow well. She has a 14-year-old son and an ex-husband. I have 2 sons 20-ish years old who are away in other cities for college, and an ex-wife. Here's my issue and my question if I'm the arsehole. Her son, let's call him Pete, is a bit spoiled, but not in a wealth sense. She and he have been alone together for 9 years now since her divorce. I entered the picture last year, staying back, not wanting to get in the middle of anything, but always gracious and coming over for dinner, taking him out, buying him birthday and holiday presents, etc. Generally waiting for him to warm up to me. So now after a while he is still very quiet and cold around me, spends no time talking, silent at dinner, and then dashes back to his room. He makes demands of his mum from afar and makes her drop everything to service whatever need he has at that moment. I try to be friendly and nice, not a try-hard, but overall his behaviour around me is very weak and childish. Yeah, I know he's 14, but he's already 14. My sons are, and have always been friendly, open, intelligent and confident young men, but this kid, due to his father being this way, has none of this. My girlfriend is expecting me to pull him out of his shell, whereas I'm expecting him to step up a bit and make an effort to having a relationship with me. With 2 older sons already, I have quite a bit of experience and did a great job so far with them. I can do so much for this kid, but in my opinion, he needs to come to me. I told her that I'll meet him halfway, but he needs to come to that halfway point too. This of course is creating a lot of stress in my relationship. So, am I being an arsehole? Again, you sort of need to put yourself in a teenager's shoes at that age. They've been sort of just with their mum for 9 years or whatever, and they're so used to this, and then you're coming into this relationship, and yet sure it might have been a year, but things can take a lot longer than that. In the teenager's mind, you're coming into in between their relationship, so you need to step up. Expecting a 14-year-old to step up and meet you halfway is totally unreasonable in my opinion. Sure, they're 14, but they're still learning things themselves, and they've never been through something like this. This is a new experience for them. You've lived a long life and you have a lot more experience than this teenager, so you need to be the one who step up and try to bring them out if you can. And it might take a lot longer than a year, 2 years. It might take longer than that. You need to be in it for the long haul if you're going to do this. But that is my flaky opinion. But Enter the Bugbear says, you're the arsehole, he's 14. We don't expect young teenagers to be the mature party in any relationship with an adult. Period. Also, dude, from what I'm reading, it has been at maximum a little over a year since you started dating this woman. Either you're in it for the long haul, in which case give the kid the time he needs to adjust, or you aren't, in which case quit pushing your expectations on the kid who will barely remember you in 5 years. Stop judging your girlfriend's kids by the yardstick of your own children. It's great that they're doing well, that's totally irrelevant to the situation at hand. Left Only the Left says, expecting a 14-year-old to meet you halfway is unreasonable. He's just not going to have the emotional maturity to do that, especially if his father is in the picture and he's probably struggling with how also to manage that relationship. I've parented and step-parented for a long time, and I can tell you that parenting is far easier. It's not fair to compare the two and think that because you've successfully parented your kids that you've got this dialed. Have to go with a you're the arsehole here, but a mild one. Glasslook says, you consider this kid weak and childish and think that you've done a great job with your own kids. Your attitude sucks. You've only been dating this kid's mum for a year. Unless you plan on marrying her, you're just a blip in this kid's life. Just be polite and have minimal expectations. You're the arsehole. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think should happen in this relationship? How could OP deal with it going forward? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 3. And our next story is from John Saru. Am I the arse for going out my bedroom window at 1 AM during a storm to climb over to the neighbour's bedroom to fix his loudly banging window so I could sleep? He was not happy to see me hanging out there, silhouetted against the street lamp. Frankly, he made quite an undignified fuss about it. I'd assumed he was out because he'd not be able to sleep through the banging if I couldn't. Anyway, he saw me hanging out the window like Dracula and made a frightful noise. You know when you're dreaming and you think you're shouting for help but you wake yourself up and the noise you're making is It was like that. Pitiable really. No sang-froid whatsoever, and vampires aren't even real. Anyway, after the initial screaming, I was able to explain my reason for hanging there, and he agreed that the window banging was a problem, but he blamed his landlord for not mending it, which also, to me, showed a lack of gumption. As a renter, I'd fix problems as they arose without bothering the landlord. I wouldn't just sit there in my room blubbing like Lucy Westenra, don't know who that is, as some helpful neighbour took matters into his own hands. It was an easy fix too. I just wedged it shut with a load of blue tack, which I never got back actually. Also, it was quite a tricky climb. It's not a hobby I've ever gone in for. At one point I had my feet on something, but my hands down near them pulling upwards to stay on the wall, which really didn't feel safe. This happened years ago, but another post on here about someone coming into the house at night reminded me of it. I won't say it led to a rift between me and the neighbour, but there was a coldness thereafter. Edit, reading your judgments has been interesting. I do seem to be a less sound person than I thought, both ethically and mentally. I can accept that I'm an arsehole, if maybe a rakish gentleman, diamond thief kind of arsehole, a lovable rogue if you will. Thank you all for entertaining and enlightening evening. God, this guy sounds a bit like me, because he's got a huge edit afterwards explaining why it was real, and he didn't really think about the whole vampires thing at the time. His mind just goes all over the place, and I absolutely love it. I just love the way he goes off on these little tangents mid-story and stuff. Oh God, that's a good one. But Persephone Tulip says, everyone sucks here. Honestly, you shouldn't be trespassing, and I get that calling at that hour was unreasonable, but he's also an arse for having his window banging madly like that. Kai P says, you're the arsehole. Is this a joke? Like, holy crap. If we hear in the future you ended up being a murderer, I wouldn't be surprised. You're creepy as fuck, dude. Yikes. Roach Patty says, not the arsehole. You should get a better landlord. And Wicked Lucky says, you're the arsehole. This is creepy and inappropriate as fuck. And OP replied, you make a good point. I assumed he was out. I assumed. Too much. Bug Secure says, you're the arsehole, but seemed like a fun person to share a pint with. And Little Badger 101 says, you're the arsehole, you're lucky he wasn't armed and didn't shoot you, thinking you're an intruder. Now, I'm going to just turn this one to you guys straight away. And imagine yourself sleeping like this guy was, and then looking out your window and there's a silhouette out there trying to repair your window, or you're not knowing what he's doing. How would you react? Would you think he's the arsehole for coming across and fixing your banging shutters? And do you think that's totally inappropriate? Let me know what you guys would do in the comments below. Once again, guys, thank you for being here today. The time out of your day is always truly appreciated, and I hope you really do know that. Thank you so much. And don't forget, we've got the beginnings of a merch store down in the description below. You can support the channel through Patreon, YouTube, all those links are down below. So, and just a huge thank you, it really does mean the world to me for what you guys are doing. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.